Here we go, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Kings of Anglia Fan Social, the show where the KO Army share their thoughts on all things town. And I hope you all had a good week. It's been cold, there's been snow about, but we're cracking on with another Kings of Anglia podcast, which is proudly sponsored by Ginger Pickle and Manscaped. I'm joined this week by two Welsh men, fine Welsh men in Sweet Earth Prince, Harvey Davies, and Welsh Mark. Boys, it's a pleasure. Town are on a roll. Harvey, how you doing?
Thanks for having me back on. Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? It's I think it was before Christmas. Maybe I was on last. So no, it's nice to be back speaking to yourselves again. As you mentioned, the weather very snowy where I am, very thick. But yeah, apart from that, I'm all good. As I said before we went on air, as long as I can get to Bolton, that's all I care about. So yeah, I'm all good, and it's it's pretty good times for Ipswich Town at the moment, isn't it? It's going pretty well at the moment. Hopefully that continues on the weekend and towards the rest of the season. So yeah, looking forward to chatting all things town with you two fine gentlemen tonight. If Mark's Wi-Fi works, that's it.
Yeah, people want to put curtain chat here. Welsh Mark's internet is having a bit of a mare, but he's still here, and it's a pleasure to have you back on, my friend. How's things?
Things are good. Thank you very much. Nice to be here, both with a 2/3 Welsh contingent on the pod tonight. So I think that's great. Diane and Roscoe, we'll all be speaking Welsh soon because I'm going to take Massimo Luongo and Connor Chaplin as honorary Welshmen because I can and I will. So yes, lovely to be here. It's pretty wet and cold and horrible down here. Snow yesterday, but it's clearing. But generally speaking, yeah, very busy. Work's been hectic. Having an extension built on the side of my house, so things have been exceptionally busy at the moment. But we're okay, and this little run of 4 straight wins has lifted my spirits tremendously. It's been good. I've been waking up on a Monday morning with a little spring in my step, which is at my age is to be commended.
I like to hear it, my friend. Like to hear it. It's good to have both of you on. Of course, this is a late sort of belated St. David's Day celebration. So, what's that in Welsh? Can one of you guys say it?
Dydd Gwyl Dairy, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll let the person with the actual Welsh accent say it because I think I could pass as being from Chester, to be honest with you. So
yeah. So yeah, we had cowl here, which is like a lamb stew. We had Welsh cakes, which are always great. Although I have got a bit of a bee in my bonnet about people, messing around with the traditional Welsh cake. You now get them with chocolate chips, Nutella, jam. You name it. You can put anything in a Welsh cake. It should have, dried fruit, and I think that's about the limit.
Yeah,
but Welsh cakes.
That's a criminal offence. That we can't be having Nutella.
I know, no Nutella. Nutella is Italian. What's it got to do with Wales? Well, having said that, we have got lots of Italians in the valley, so there is a tenuous link there. But but we did a bit of cow, some Welsh cakes, lots of Welsh cakes, Penderyn, bit of Welsh cheese, lovely.
Good to hear. Good to hear. And as you both said, it's great to be a Town fan. I want to say again, it's just this season we've had ups and downs. A great run of form, of course. Games we should be winning. We probably are the favourites going into all those 4 games against Forest Green, MK, Burton, and Accrington. But we did it. We beat them because normally banana skins and all that. Harvey, what have you liked? That is the question I'm asking on the podcast. What have you liked about those four wins? All clean sheets, 12 goals. Hutchie's in the millions now. Thoughts on the 4 games?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, they're 4 games we should be winning, but we all know it's never as easy as that, especially teams that are fighting for their lives. Yes, they might not have the quality as we saw with Accrington, who I thought didn't even look like half the team that we've seen with Colby Bishop and Ross Sykes and Nottingham, and that I mean, they looked really poor, but they're still dangerous because they're fighting for every ball and there's absolutely zero pressure on them. So really pleased. You look back to the MK Dons one, for example. I think they're all different types of wins, similar in some sense. And the MK Dons match where maybe we thought we'd turn up there and win 3-4-0, when really it took a bit of magic from Sammy Morsey, and then you flip to the Burton game where we were in control so early on. And then you go back to the Accrington game where, we went 1-0 up at the break, and then that second half, it wasn't as easy as just coming out there and scoring 4 or 5 again, because we know exactly what Accrington are going to bring. They're going to be, they're going to be fighting for everything. They're going to be defensively solid. So no, it's good to see us being able to break down these teams that come and sit with a low block. And I don't know whether it's you or Andy that hates that saying, or is it Heathy? One of them anyway. But it's good to see. Maybe earlier on in the season we saw with Lincoln where it was 30 odd shots and we couldn't score. We've just got that added bit of quality now, haven't we? With Nathan Broadhead, and we've got the one going midfield as well, who's been brilliant since he's come in. So yeah, really, really pleased. And as you said, on paper, games you should win. But one thing that's so important in this league is momentum, and that can swing both ways. You look at, Bolton are a prime example of that. They went on a mad winning streak, and winning breeds confidence. That's such a cliche, but it's true. It doesn't matter who you're playing. It could be United, or it could be, I don't know, Conway under 11s. It doesn't matter who you're playing. If you're winning games, it's going to breed confidence in the squad. So yeah, really pleased with the wins, and the clean sheets as well. Really, really important. Christian Walton for me looks back to his confident best, I have to say. He still scares me with the ball at his feet at times. He takes maybe a second too long than he should, but that has improved as well. But in the main, I think it's really good to get those wins, to get a bit of confidence, and brilliant for the likes of Broadhead as well to get in the goals. And it sets it up nicely, doesn't it, for Saturday? A different type of game, a game that I actually think will suit us more than an Accrington will, because we all know Bolton will come out and they won't. I mean, I looked at the press conference today for Ian Everett, and he said they're not going to change the game whatsoever. And they play quite an open brand of football, so it does make it into a really good game this Saturday, and yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a very different game indeed. Mark, bring you in there, my friend. What have you liked from these 4 games? Maybe talk about some players who have been stepping up, scoring goals. It's just been good team performances, and as Harvey said, momentum that we need going into these big running.
Yeah, a couple of things to pick out, really. One, a lot of people raise the question about, settled team, which, McKenna has chopped and changed. And sometimes you can see the logic of changing your lineup to suit the opposition. Though I am kind of in the camp, we play our best 11 and they have to deal with us. And I do like to see that we have a fairly settled 11 now. I think we could probably all pretty much name most of the side that's going to play on Saturday, with maybe one, maximum 2, question marks. And I don't expect there to be any concerns. That's been pleasing. And I think that consistency is really helpful because, it's all about relationships and partnerships, and those seem to be developing and embedding quite nicely. I've really enjoyed seeing Broadbean, Minty, whatever you want to call him. I think he's added some extra value. He looks a little bit of a step up on some of the players who've been playing that role for the rest of the season. He does seem to have an eye for a goal, an eye for a pass, an eye for a feint and a finish. I do like the look of him, and I think there's more to come. So that's been pleasing. 5 clean sheets is not to be underestimated either, and that's really impressive. At any level, clean sheets are vital, and I think that's been really interesting. And I've liked Cameron Burgess and his role, because I think he's really developed as a player over the year that he's been here. I mean, he joined and he was a central midfielder going back, and I think at times when he looks at him in his early days, you thought, central midfielder really is, he didn't look like a central midfield player. There were occasions, I remember watching him at Forest Green, when you kind of feared that if the opposition had a chance to run at him, he would be in serious trouble because of his lack of pace. But he seems to me to have progressed no end. I mean, I like him with the ball at his feet. He doesn't make many mistakes, and I think his range of passing is quite impressive. And I do like the way he crosses the ball from the left to the right, looking for the run of Burns, etc. And he seems to have an eye for a decent pass and a good weight on a pass, as well as the physical presence, all the rest of it. So I think that's been really pleasing, and I'd like to see the settled, back to. That works well for me. I think that the clean sheets and the goals, and as Harvey said, there are 3 opponents there: Forest Green, Accrington, Burton. Earlier in the season, we could have dominated possession, 99% possession for the whole of the game, created 47 chances and still drawn 0-0, because that seemed to be the way things were going. But we do seem to be scoring goals, which has always been the criticism that, we create loads of chances, but we don't score enough goals. We are scoring goals now, and we look like we've got a slightly more clinical edge, and it does help that we've, managed to make some really quality reinforcements to help us in that respect. So lots of positives. Momentum, as Harvey has said, is key. Confidence is key, and I think the settled side breeds confidence, momentum as well. A few weeks back, I was concerned that if we continued on the run that we were in and we went into the playoffs, I worry, because I didn't feel that we would go in there with that momentum. But I kind of feel even if we did, end up in the playoffs, I kind of feel that we've got a good little base to work from now, a little bit of momentum, and I kind of think we're on an upward trajectory, which would serve us well. So lots and lots of positives, lots of partnerships. Lovely to see some reinforcements bedding in. I mentioned Broadbean, Hurst. We've seen elements of what he can bring. I think there's a lot more to come from him. And Luongo, I know we're going to talk about him more depth in a moment. Luongo has been terrific. I mean, I remember seeing him in his first spell with us, and I haven't seen much of him since, but I was very impressed with him against Accrington. He looked like a really, really good player. So, lots and lots of things to be positive about. So, I think at the moment, everything is looking good. Big test for us on Saturday. A team that has very similar possession stats to us, so I believe plays in a similar sort of way. So I expect a really good game of football. They play two up front, I believe, and most of their goals have come through their centre forward. So it's going to be a really big test for Wolfenden and Burgess, I think, on Saturday. One which I think they're going to be up to, but I expect a really good game with a couple of goals. Touch wood, it's a win.
Indeed, yeah. We'll get onto, of course, the Bolton preview later on about our predictions and our hot takes and all that. Harvey, Mark's mentioned Massimo Luongo. Let's have a little sort of appreciation moment for him, because he has been fantastic since coming in for Karen Humphreys. And just the talk about partnerships, because it's building now. There's a lot of talk at the moment on the main pod, and everyone else talking about partnerships at the back, midfield, the 10s, right side, left side. Take away, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, partnerships are really important, aren't they? We've got a big squad, and we've got to use that squad to a certain extent. But you want your best players starting. Your Connor Chaplins. Hopefully now your Nathan Broadheads, if he can, have 60, 70 minutes every week. Luongo's been a big part of that. One of my close friends is a big Sheffield Wednesday fan. He's obviously very happy at the moment. But I even remember last season him absolutely raving about Luongo and saying how good he is and how important he is to that team. And when I remember telling him that we were signing him, or it looks like that we were signing him, and he was genuinely gutted, because he would have loved it back at Wednesday. So listen, he's a great player, isn't he? What's interesting me about Luongo is I didn't expect McKenna to put him as the more kind of advanced out of the two. Luongo is basically the last probably 6 or 7 years, especially at Sheffield Wednesday, has been someone who just sits in front of the back four and is basically it's just a little rat, essentially. It just breaks up play, will bite at your heels, that kind of thing, where he seems to be playing with a little bit more freedom to get forward in this McKenna team. So I found that interesting. It's not necessarily something I'd have expected. But he's taken to it really well. His range of passing is brilliant. The way he turns out of tight spaces is brilliant. I've been really impressed with him. You look at the back four as well for partnerships. I think the back four now is what it will be for the rest of the season. Burgess offers that natural left-footed balance. Clark looked really fresh when he came on the other night, and he looks a very good player as well. And then obviously you've got Davies, who's a mainstay at left back. So we're hitting the partnerships at the right end of at the right part of the season. And we mentioned the bench earlier on as well. I can't ever remember McKenna, having such a consistent bench as well. You've got Kyle Edwards on there, you've got Harness on there, Hurst on there, Jackson, Humphreys, and it's usually Donatian, isn't it? And then Haladki. So it's good to see. It's good to see, and you need those partnerships. You look at Sheffield Wednesday. Every week they've got Vokes, Byers, and Bannon in midfield, without a doubt. They'll have Smith and Windass at top every week, without a doubt. and those partnerships are really, really important in the team. So no, it's good to see, and it means we've got brilliant bench options as well. You saw Kyle Edwards the other day. I'll mention Marcus Harness and his bench display on against Accrington, but again, there's a player in there as well. And even Clark, you know, came on as a left back and won as essentially that third goal. So the depth is really important, but partnerships are even more important, and that's becoming, you know, it's a key ingredient if you want to be a successful team, and we're just hitting that at the right time. Really good.
I'll let you take away, Mark, 'cause I know you want to speak about something. Take away.
Yeah, Massimo Luongo, I remember him in his first spell, and I haven't seen a lot of him since, but I was really impressed with him on Tuesday night. And you know, the bits that I've seen, he looks like a really good player. And a couple of weeks ago, I was really worried about our central midfield because, you know, Morsey and the booking situation and Cameron Humphreys, you know, as talented as a young man as he is, you know, physically, it's very hard for him to cope with the, you know, the Saturday, Tuesday games at this level. And, you know, he's still growing, developing, you know, filling out. We're expecting a lot of him. You know, we were waiting for Luongo to come back and wondering what kind of player, you know, he was going to be, you know, when he did play, and, you know, whether he was going to be fit. But he's added an awful lot. You know, I'm a huge Lee Evans fan because, you know, he's a Welshman, and he's, you know, I think he's a really good player. He offers Ipswich Town a lot. Luongo and Morsey is a different sort of combination. When Lee Evans plays, he tends to sit much deeper and kind of dictate and push the play and sort of play the Welsh Pirlo role, collecting the ball off the back four, spraying passes around, you know, always being available. Luongo's a very different sort of player. He's a you know, he's not that deep line player like he used to be. He seems to appear everywhere. I mean, you know, we saw Morsey dropping deeper and playing the forward pass to Luongo to receive, and then he turned and he played the final pass for Jackson across to Broadbent for the goal. But, you know, you often see him dropping deeper, and the two seem to interchange quite you know, quite fluidly, which I think is interesting because you know, I like Morsey and he offers us a lot. But I do feel sometimes with Lee Evans playing a bit deeper that you know, the pressure on him to get up the field and get past people and find that pass, and I'm not always sure that he's 100% comfortable with, because I think that's something that McKenna has asked him to do that I don't think he's done. You know, for the length of his career, so it's relatively new to him. So I quite like to see those two alternating because I think Luongo has definitely got an eye for a pass. There were a couple of balls on Tuesday night where I mean, I couldn't help but applaud and shout, what a lovely pass. And not just the fact that he actually saw the pass, it was the pace of the delivery as well for the player to run onto, left foot, right foot. I just, you know, it's when it works like that, it's brilliant. Both balls on the deck, and, you know, they created a lovely opening. So I'm a huge fan of Luongo, and I, you know, I'd like to see that partnership develop and those two keep playing together and you know, and get used to each other to an even greater extent, because I think that's going to be superb. And I think if we can keep both of those fit and stop Morsey getting booked, you know, I think that's a real positive for us. And particularly, you know, if Dominic Ball is going to be back with us again, because he offers a different dimension again. He's a more physical, perhaps a more defensive player. And, you know, I think if he is fit in the last 15, 20 minutes of a game, when you need that kind of player to step in there and just hold things together and you know, and give a few rollickins and just sit back and, you know, absorb a bit of pressure, he's that kind of player. So it's looking a bit brighter. I think Kamara is back on the grass as well. Yeah. He played for Dennis Only didn't he, last week? So, you know, from being a bit concerned, I think we might have some positives there. But in terms of Luongo, yes, I think he's terrific. I really thought he was excellent on Tuesday night. I really enjoyed watching him play. He's short. He's fairly stocky. Him and Morsey seem to be sort of, you know, of the same sort of stock, really, aren't they? They're kind of, you know, you reminds me a bit of Mickey Stockwell, you know, but you know, that kind of stature, you know, kind of short and but terrific. I was really impressed with him, and I hope he stays fit. And I know that McKenna has mentioned today they're going to have to think about whether, you know, Luongo and Broadbent, you know, are going to be okay for another game after Tuesday's game, you know, and what they imagine will be a fairly high tempo and you know, an active game on Saturday against Bolton. I hope that's just a little bit of kidology, because, you know, I think those two should both definitely be starting on Saturday, and, you know, I touch wood, I hope they are. But yeah, definite positives there. Luongo is an absolute gem, a real gem. I if I was a Sheffield Wednesday fan now, I'd be thinking, what the hell have we done there? Why have we let him go? But they must have some talent there, Harvey.
Indeed. And you mentioned Don Ball, Mark, and yeah, we had the surprise news, Harvey, that McKenna said, yeah, he's back. He could be part of the squad, could be travelling up to Bolton. He underwent knee surgery back in November, and it was pretty much like a season-ending injury. But he could be back and ready for the final 11 games. And as Mark said, Palucci Kamara played for the under-21s last week as well. So all good on that front in the midfield. Thoughts on Dominic Ball returning?
Yeah, that's an unbelievable recovery. That, I mean, he must keep himself really fit, and his body must be, in better condition than mine. So yeah, he's going to be brilliant. He's going to be such an important player. As Mark says, he's different to the midfielders we've got. He's 6'2". He's a bit more physical. He can get himself about a little bit more. My gut is that he won't actually be in the squad on Saturday. I don't think he will be. I think the one goal will probably start again, and I think Humphries will be on the bench, but possibly the week after. McKenna doesn't really use more than one midfielder on the bench these days, so I don't think, to be honest, I could be wrong, but I don't think he'll be on the bench unless McKenna thinks he's centre back cover, so you don't need a Donati on the bench possibly, but. Yeah, he offers that, and he offers his versatility, so he's going to be brilliant to have back. And I know we're going to mention this a little bit more, aren't we, on the recovery times of players. It's been so impressive this year. You look at John Jules, who's not far away, Lee Evans, Aluko, Harness. All these players have returned. Greg Lee's another one, returned quicker than anticipated. So it's a big credit to the medical staff. Now, I think there's been a lot more investment in that. A lot of the main kind of headlines get on the pitch, and it spent 1.5 million on Leif Davies and that kind of thing. But I think the infrastructure has been really invested in as well, which is just as important. So yeah, really pleased with who we've brought back. Sorry if I jumped the gun there, Ross. But
no, I think that's perfect. It sort of segues nicely on an injured player returning, and it's a good talk about the behind the scenes staff getting these players back up to speed, back on the grass is the cliche, of course. And as you said, Greg Lee early in the season, Lee Evans, of course, he's injured again, but he, of course, came back a bit earlier. Tyrese John Jules, he's been out for a while. And then Don Ball, I think Don Ball's come back twice, hasn't he? Since I think he had injury in pre-season, and he came back, and he's, of course, come back again now. But yeah, it's just a massive improvement on past times under Lambert, Cook, even Paul Cook, even under Mick McCarthy. We had so many injuries, didn't we, at that time? And players just being out for the rest of the season and never seen again. How much has that impression you, Mark? Because just seeing players return out of nowhere, just like boom in the matchday squad.
It's as Harvey said, it's phenomenal because some of those injuries they've not been minor injuries. They've been quite serious knee injuries. And I think several of them have had to undertake surgery. And going back into previous seasons, we've always bemoaned the fact that we always seem to get a plethora of injuries. And then players would come back, after a long period out, and then they'd be out again. I'm thinking about David McGoldrick, who's, won League One Player of the Month, I think, or something. But the amount of times that he'd be injured, come back, and then get injured again, and you used to think, my goodness me, it's a curse. It really is. But I think that there's also been some significant investment behind the scenes there, and in this, and they seem to come back, and when they do come back, and Evans has come back twice, and he's come back, and he's it hasn't taken him long to get back into the speed of the game. My understanding is that the training at Portman Road is Playfair Road, sorry, is at a very high tempo, and it's quite intense. And so when they do come back, they've been training for a good while. The rehabilitation is complete, and they're back on the grass, and they're training at that high tempo. So when they come back, it seems to be fairly fluid. They don't seem to to stutter and stumble as much as they did in previous years. It's a huge advantage when you think about it, because we have got a really good squad. But when you take a few key players out with an injury, it puts pressure. But if they can come back quickly, it's a real bonus. And all these players, Tyrese John Jules, if he comes back, within the next 3 to 4 weeks potentially, and gets himself on the bench, that's another really, really strong player that we've got there. Another really important option who can play in a variety of roles, which is going to add another string to our bow. So yeah, I think you got to say really, big well done to Ashton and the team for putting this backroom staff together, because it's having a very positive impact, and long may it continue. I hope those days of us being sick bed town are well and truly over.
Yeah, I hope so too. And yeah, McKinnon, he's going to have a lot of headaches going into these final 11 games because we're getting all these players returning. Yeah, Tyrese John Jules has been that man who's been out for so long. And we just said when he's back, the cliche klaxon like a new signing. And he's a position. We've got Broadhead in now. We've got some great players in that position, but it's great for McKenna. And it sort of segues nicely, boys, into a chat about where you're at in terms of top two, the playoffs. Harvey, where are Town going to finish? You got to say it right here, right now. Where are Town finishing? And you got to lock that in.
Town are finishing second, Ross. Obviously, I mean we're going up automatically, aren't we? We've got to. Listen, I've said all season, and this is no disrespect to Plymouth, that Stephen Schumacher's done an unbelievable job. But I've said all year. I said in August that Sheffield Wednesday would finish top and Ipswich would finish second, and I'm still going to go with that. They do seem to keep winning, which is an issue, but they've lost Cooper in goal, which is a huge miss. I don't think they've been totally convincing in their performances. The penalty they had on Tuesday night was a complete and utter dive that should never have been given. And there's a lot of football to be played, and I think they'll fall off. I really do, and I'm sure I'll be laughed at by many a Plymouth fan. And I give you permission to laugh at me if you do finish second and we end up in the playoffs. But I really do think that at some point they're going to have a dodgy spell. Listen, that it could be Barnsley that takes advantage of it if we don't, in that situation, win the games that we need to. They're on a really good run as well, Barnsley. But yeah, I think we'll do it. I really do. I think we'll finish second, and mainly because I don't think my heart could deal with playoff situation again. No. I've still got bad memories from 2014-15. So yeah, I think we'll do it. I really do. I think we've got a better squad than Plymouth. Listen, they might have better combinations. They might be able to scrap out games better. But I think our squad will come through, and I think we will secure that second place.
Good to hear it. Oh, Mark has walked off. He's off. No, he's back. He's fine. For people listening, Mark just got up, but maybe he's ready to bring us his wisdom, his thoughts on it. Do you know one key stat, guys, that may be going a bit under the radar? Goal difference with us and Plymouth. We've got 37 plus. Plymouth got 25 plus. So 12 goal swing there. Could that come into play? Could that come into play at some stage? Of course, still got 11 games, so we could go and see loads of goals, or they score loads of goals. They could win 6-0 one day. But Mark, where are you at, my friend?
Right, this is my. I don't really see that. This is my playoff ticket, okay, which is on my wall with my. I've got a lovely picture of the playoff final there. Okay, this is my ticket, which is I cherish this. I never tell my wife this happy day of my life. Honestly, it was the happiest day of my life, aside from my wedding, which I always say when my wife is listening. I don't want to go back and do that again. I really don't. I'd love to take Joseph to Wembley, my son, who's now 11. He'd love to go to Wembley. I don't want to go through all that. I'm 52 years old. My heart can't take it. I don't want to go through that anymore. I think that we have hit form at the right time. And I was sat down earlier looking at the next 6 games, 18 possible points. I'm optimistically predicting that we're going to get 16 points out of those 18. And the only game that I've got down that we're not going to win is the Barnsley game, which I'm gone for a 2-2 draw. Okay. That's what I'm predicting. Okay. 16 out of 18 points. And I think Harvey is absolutely right. Plymouth have been relentless. But at some point this season, they're going to hit a patch of poor form. They haven't got the strength in depth that we have. And I think they've stuttered a little bit lately. They've managed to get over the line just about, but I don't think they've been convincing from what I understand. I think they're going to hit a bit of a rocky run. I'm looking at their fixtures, and they've got a lot of games against teams in the lower half who are going to be fighting to avoid relegation. And I think that's going to be a tricky time for them. And I think 1 or 2 injuries, and it could have a huge impact. I think that we are just about now with our reinforcements, hitting our best form at the right time in the season. I think that old Alex Ferguson mantra about the season starting in March, whatever he used to say, I think McKenna might have inherited a bit of that. And maybe he's, I'd like to think that he's kind of geared us towards hitting our peak at exactly this time, and I'm hoping that we're gonna finish strongly. So, yeah, Optimistically, I think we're going to finish second. It's going to be really close. It's going to be really, really close. And I think we're going to have to go on a really, really strong run and, almost get through to the end of the season now without losing a game. Okay. I think that we can possibly, I think a couple of draws will be okay. But I think apart from that, I think we're going to have to win almost nearly every game that's left. I don't think we can afford a defeat. I think we've got to be relentless and we've got to be ruthless. And I think we've got it in us. I really do. I think we've got the skill set, we've got the team, we've got the players to do it. But it's boom or bust time. But my prediction is I think we're going to finish second. We're going to squeak in above Plymouth. They're going to drop off, and I think we're going to hit our best run is going to be at the tail end of the season, as it should be, and we're going to finish second.
Oh, I like it, boys.
I've said it. Blinding optimism. What can I say?
It's going to get clipped up by now. Plymouth fans just laughing at us at the end of the season when, you thought you got
I'm sure they're saying the same. I mean, you've got to be a glass half full fan as a Town fan, haven't you? You've got to.
Definitely after the last 4 years in League One, we need to get out there. And do you know what? One team is going to miss out on automatic. Is going to get 90 points, which is just going to be crazy. That's why League One is a fantastic league. That's why Championship is a great league. But League One is a bit underrated, even though there is some bad teams in this division. But it's just going to be an incredible final 11 games. It's exciting because the last 4 seasons, whatever it's been, it's just been 11th, 9th, 11th, and just dull.
Well, even if we don't finish second, we are going to finish in the playoffs. So there is going to be something at the end of the season. It's going to extend our season a little bit. It's going to bring a bit of excitement. I hope it's not the playoffs because I don't want to go through that again. I think that this team, this setup that we're developing, this stadium, these fans, they deserve us to go up. In an automatic place,
Great.
And then I think we'll thrive. Well, I think we'll do well in the Championship. I think we'll finish in the top half with a few key reinforcements, and I think we'll more than hold our own. And then the following season, then I think we can move on again and start thinking about pushing. But I think we've the hardest step, as I've said for a long time, is not what happens next season if we get to the Championship. I think we'll be okay. But the hardest bit is getting out of this league.
Yeah, man, it is indeed. I'm positive as well. Do you know what? Come on, boys. We can bloody do it. Why not? The squad is there. The momentum's there. The crowd's there. Let's just see. But, of course, we've got some big games to go. But it's just exciting. Playoffs, I'm scared about for obvious reasons. But also content. There's plenty of content for us to bring. So, anyway, enough of that. Let's get on to the strike, boys. And then we'll look ahead to Bolton away. Of course, the home of McKenna's first ever Town defeat, of course, which was at the Uni Bowl back in February. One of those dates. Could be in March. Doesn't matter. But he lost. Of course, we lost 2-0 up there last time we played them at their place. Of course, we drew 1-1 at Portland Road on opening day. But, boys, time for the strike. As always, everyone listening at home or watching, 4 questions plus a tiebreaker, as always, linked to March birthdays. Yeah, people who were born in March. Harvey, Mark, when are you born? What's your month?
April, my friend.
April.
July.
So,
I'm an
July,
Aries.
me too. Mine's in July, Mark, as well. What date?
19th.
Oh, I'm 12th. So
not far away.
Yeah, not too bad. I like that. But March birthdays, boys. Starting off with Daryl Murphy. Now, Connor Chaplin is getting close to 20 goals. We've also got Ladapo getting close as well. We've got players scoring hopefully 20 goals in a season for the first time in a long time. That's not connected to Daryl Murphy's question. But, of course, he had a couple of loan spells at the club. And this is probably an advantage here, Mark, for Harvey. Because it's about a squad number. But you never know. What was his first squad number? So what was Daryl Murphy's first squad number? Was it 21, 25, or 29? So he had 3 squad numbers during his time at the club. But what was his first? Of course, he's known as the number 9 in his proper permanent spell and his 2014-15 season spell. Take away, boys.
Can you repeat them again, Ross? What are the possible answers?
21, 25, or 29. Did I?
Okay, I've written down a completely different answer to that.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we'll find out. I said he had 3 different numbers during his time, so maybe you're thinking of the other one, but we'll find out.
Could be wrong on this.
Yeah. Okay, take it on. Take it away. Oh, so you've done 29 Welsh.
29.
What's Harvey gone?
I've gone. I originally put down 27, but was that his? That was his second one, was
That's
it?
his second number, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Then I put 21.
and it is 21. So, do I allow that, Mark? Do I allow that? Because he thought, he didn't even need the options. He went, no, I'm going to put 27. I know that's going to trick somebody out. I should have put 27 there just to go, it was one of his numbers, but that's his second number.
You would have got me.
Would have got you. Damn it. But I think we're giving the point because he has got the correct answer, but he jumped the gun. But yeah, 21, 27, and number 9. So yeah, of course, 3 different spells at the club. Question 2 is he a Welshman? I know he played, I don't think he was born in Wales. I think he's from Liverpool. Ignore that. But he did play in Wales a little bit. Gary Roberts celebrates his birthday this month. Of course,
he's definitely not Welsh, Roberts.
No. Well, I know he started his senior career in Wales.
Yeah.
And then joined Accrington, then joined us, and then but it's definitely not Welsh because of his accent. Of course, now back with Paul Cook at Chesterfield. But what is his middle name? Gary Roberts' middle name. Is it Andrew, Michael, or Peter? So is it Gary, Andrew Roberts, Gary Michael Roberts, or Gary Peter Roberts? So Gary Roberts. And let me just get the answer up because I haven't actually got it in front of me. So what has Mark gone? He's gone Peter.
I've got Andrew.
Right, let me get the answer up quickly. And the correct answer, bear with me. I thought I had it on the spread, but I actually just got to Wikipedia it now. So what was the options? So Andrew and Peter you went for?
Yeah.
The correct answer is Michael. So just a point to no one. So it's just Harvey in front with the 1. Now, this is a Welshman. I know it's a Welshman because it's Gwion Edwards. Now, bear with me with the pronouncing of these towns. But which town was he born in Wales, Gwion Edwards? Was it Aberdare? No. Welsh Mark,
Aberdare.
Take away.
Aberdare, Holyhead, or Lampeter?
Aberdare, okay. Future reference, let Welsh Mark say Welsh things. But yeah, Gwion Edwards was born in which town? What's that? Well, the light is thing me in. Was that
I've gone for Lampeter.
Lampeter.
It's definitely not Holyhead. I know that. But
It's Lampeter because I think his mum was a teacher. I think up that way. Yeah.
Okay. I've gone the opposite. I've gone Aberdare.
Okay. Why don't you think it's Holyhead then, Harvey?
Because he wasn't born in North Wales.
Oh, so we know So where? I tried my best when I was googling towns in Wales. I was trying my best to pick maybe.
Holyhead's only about 40 minutes from me. It's not too.
You would have known that. You would have known that fact. Welsh Mark is right though. It is Lampeter. Do you know much about that town? Is that close to you?
Yeah, it's Mid Wales. It's a small university town in Mid Wales. There's not an awful lot there, but I know a little bit about Gwion Edwards because his mother was a teacher, as I have been for most of my teaching career, most of my career, sorry. And funnily enough, I scored my son's first game at Ipswich Town was on the back of Gwion Edwards. It's a long story, but Joe came up to the Sheffield Wednesday game when Paul Cook was the manager when we were in the Championship. It was Joe's first ever game at Portman Road. He must have been 7 at the time. Joe was playing football for his grassroots team, and there was a chap in an Ipswich Town tracksuit there. And I went over to speak to him because he had an Ipswich Town tracksuit on, and he told me that he was a scout for Ipswich Town, and he gave me a ticket. And he told me about all these Ipswich Town players that he knew, and that he knew Gwion Edwards, and he knew Gwion Edwards' family. And he told him, he'd been speaking to him recently, and he wasn't very happy at Ipswich. We got into this conversation, and I asked, he told me which club Gwion had come to Ipswich Town from, and he got it wrong. And I knew he'd got it wrong, and there was something wrong with this. So I said to Joe, I'm not really sure this guy's actually an Ipswich Town scout. So I phoned up Ipswich Town, and I got through eventually to the guy who ran the academy, and I told him, and I sent him a picture of the card that this gentleman had given me, and he said no. And on the card it said scout for Ipswich Town Football Club with a town logo. And this guy said, no, he's not a scout for Ipswich Town Football Club. He doesn't work for us, and he wouldn't approach parents in the way that this gentleman had done. this gentleman was actually running some kind of other academy which purported to have links to Ipswich Town, and children were being charged to go and train with him and his brother. Anyway, Ipswich Town, the academy guy, I can't remember his name, his number's still in my phone. He said, "Thank you very much for reporting that to us. Obviously we don't want people to misrepresent themselves in the name of Ipswich Town Football Club. Would you and Joseph like to come and see a game?" And we said, "Yeah, we'd love to." And so they gave us some tickets for the Sheffield Wednesday game. So off we trotted, and it was Joe's first game. There you go. All on the back of somebody not knowing which club Green Edwards came from. There you go.
There we go. And you got the point. That is a big thing, Welsh Mark. So it is a tie going into the fourth question. And it maybe gives you an advantage, Welsh Mark, because I don't think Harvey was... I think we were both born when Ian Marshall played for Town. Maybe not. Anyway, Ian Marshall. How many goals did he score for Town in 97 games? Of course, closest gets the point. If you get it bang on, you get 2 points. So Harvey... Oh, wow. Because there's a tie in it. So it depends. It really depends. You can just go into a 3-1 lead. But Harvey, I'm sure you know who Ian Marshall is in terms of the mullet. He's a striker. That's a clue. If people listening, any young Town fans listening, you don't know who Ian Marshall is. Striker, mullet, scored a few goals. But how many goals did he score in 97 games? As you're got the advantage, Welsh Mark, we'll go over to Harvey first, actually. What do you reckon? In 97 games, how many goals?
A complete guess, I've got to be honest. 28.
28. Welsh Mark?
26.
26. Oh, you changed it. It didn't really mean anything because Harvey's actually the closest. He's not got that close, but it's 38. 38 goals, so he scored more than you think.
Yeah,
so Harvey wins. But
well done,
as always, though, Welsh Mark, gamble responsibly and all that. But are you going to gamble, Harvey?
I've got to gamble, haven't I? I've got to gamble.
Got to. And the gamble is on the man called Cole Scouse. Good old Coley. Celebrates his birthday this month, just like Ian Marshall, Green Edwards, Gary Roberts, Darren Murphy, and many others. Other strike questions will appear throughout the next few weeks of this month. So I won't let the future guests know and future listeners know that the next questions in March. But Cole Scouse, how many games did it take Cole Scouse to score his first Town goal? Of course, it was the running joke, the famous gag when he did finally score his first goal. T-shirts were made, things were made. I was there when he first scored. But Mark, you got to get it bang on to win. Harvey still play as well. If you get it bang on, you win by multiple. Win by 4-1. Mark's gone straight in with 90. Okay.
Oh, I've gone higher. I've gone 121.
121. Poor Cole. I know he didn't score many. He scored 2 for Town. Took him 82 games. In his 82nd game, he scored. So Welsh Mark's got the closest, but he had to get it bang on to win. So Harvey, you have won overall. Well done, my friends. Your thoughts and your speech as always.
I'm honoured, and I'm looking forward to receiving my prize when I see you Saturday, Ross. So I look forward to that one. I saw your face just as I say that. Look at me as if to say, I'll give you a Jaffa cake, maybe. Listen, I'll take what I can get at this point, Ross.
I've got half-eaten Kinder... how do you say it again?
What? No, I'd like to hear you say it before I...
I should know this, really. Kinder... No, I can't say it. Oh, God.
Yeah, well, I'll have a half-eaten Kinder Beano.
Yeah, because it's like... before I came on the pod, I had one, and there's still one finger left in here, so... Depends when I'm editing this podcast, I may eat it. I may make a cup of tea and then edit the podcast, and we'll find out. If not, I'll
take the recognition. I like it Bueno as much as the next person, but I'll take the recognition.
Top man. So there we go. Another strike in the bag. I hope you all enjoyed playing at home. And now let's talk Bolton, then, boys. Bolton Wanderers, 5th in League One. Ian Evatt, their manager. Dion Charles scoring the goals. How are you feeling then going into this one? As I said last time out, 1-1 draw on opening day. Lots happened since then. They've had up and down results, but they've been winning machines, scoring goals. I'll go over to you, Mark. First of all, how are you feeling going into this one? And just any hot takes or predictions, team news, and all that?
No, I think the team is going to be very, very close to the team that started on Saturday. I'm hoping that Luongo and Broadbent are going to be playing. I think that my only question mark might be about Ladapo or Hurst up front. I don't know. I think that's a bit of a 50-50. I mean, I'd like to see Ladapo keep his place because I think he's been playing really well. However, I think that I can see a role for Hurst because I think the big lad who plays at the back for Bolton, I don't think he's terribly mobile. He's a bit of a rock, isn't he? And I think
Santos,
the Hurst
yeah.
Santos. I think the Hurst may offer a little bit more running the channels, to get behind them. Particularly if we consider that as the home side, the impetus will be on Bolton maybe to have or to try and have slightly more of the possession, and so that might allow some spaces behind their defense when they're pushing up with the ball potentially. So that might be the only change. But I'd like to see the Dapper keep his place, but I can see the logic and maybe Hurst playing. The rest of the team, I think Clark and Burns will come back in, and I think that right side will be back and firing, and Davies will be fit, and I think Davies and Broadbent will be on the left side, and I think it'll be an unchanged lineup, and I think Hurst and Wolfenden will be busy because the big lad at front is quite a physical presence as well. And I think Burgess is going to be very, very useful in that context. And I think Clark adds a bit at the back as well because he's no shrinking violet either, is he? So I think he'll offer a bit of physicality that might come in handy as well. In terms of the result, I think it's going to be a really good game of football. I think it's two possession-based sides, and I think they're going to pass the ball. And their manager's already said they're not going to change the way that they play. So I think it's going to be a good game, two proper sides, and I think that might be advantageous for us because I think they're going to try and play football. They're not going to sit deep and try and hit us on the counter. They're going to try and play football, and I think that's a positive for us because we're a footballing side, and I think because of that, I'm going to say that we're going to soak up some early pressure, possibly concede a goal, but I see us coming through in the end and winning 2-1. And I think we're gonna squeak it. It's gonna be a close game, but I think we're gonna use our subs well, and I think when we bring on the kind of strength we got from the bench for the last 15-20 minutes, I think we might just have enough to nick it. And I think we will. I think it's gonna be a really good game of football, and I think it's gonna be a real test for us because we have in patches in the last 4 games played some exceptional football, but there have been times, and there were times on Tuesday night where we just sat off. And we did enough. We won't be able to do that on Saturday. That's not going to happen. They're not going to be able to do that. They've got to be relentless in in the way that they press, which has been fantastic this season. The way they press in the front, and the way that they pass and execute that pass, and they move to receive the ball. There's going to be no having a 5, 10, 50-minute spell where we just we do enough. The ball goes sideways, backwards and forwards. We retain possession. I think we're going to have to be fully on it and focus for the whole of the 90 minutes, and and play at a really high intensity and make sure that that we are spot on and that the ball is delivered crisply, that we pass the ball quickly, that we make the most of the possession that we've got. It's going to be a test. I think we're going to have to go up a notch from we've been in the last couple of games and really be relentless, in our endeavour to win the game. I'm an optimist, obviously, because I'm predicting that we're going to finish second, but I think we're going to win this one because I think this is the time now we're going to hit that form. I think we'll win. I've also predicted we're going to beat Derby as well. So, Bring
it on. Yep. Looking forward to it. Harvey, you are known in our group chat as the man with hot takes. So have you got any hot takes for this game and your just thoughts and feelings going into this one?
Yeah, I've had a quick think about this. I'm going to go, don't know whether it's classed as a hot take or not, but I think we'll go ahead early on, first 10, 15 minutes. They might claw us back 50, 60 minutes on the clock. And then I think that's where our squad depth is superior to Bolton's. I know they've had a few injuries. It looks like Adibajejo, if I've pronounced that correctly, is back fit. I gave that a go and I probably completely massacred that, so I apologise.
Better than me, mate. Better than me.
I apologise if he's listening, and who knows, he might be.
You never know.
Yeah, they're a good team. Obviously, I was actually at Bolton Road for the first opening game this season, where I was impressed with them. You mentioned Santos. He kept Ladapo very quiet. Not sure we can take much from that, given it was the first game. He didn't get off to the best of start to Ladapo, but he was brilliant. Santos, very good. Connor Bradley on the right impressed me a lot. It was on loan from Liverpool, but they were very much a back four then, and their kind of hot run of form has come as they've switched to a back three. So they play essentially a 3-5-2 now with an advanced midfielder behind the two front men. So obviously Mark has mentioned Dion Charles, who's a big threat. They've got a player that McKenna will know very well in the lad they've got from United, Scholler, can't pronounce his surname.
Shortire. Well,
Yeah, someone like that.
I'm terrible as well.
I think we were linked with him McKenna's early days actually. And he's played under McKenna, so McKenna will know him very well. And by all accounts, he's really impressed Bolton fans. I've got a mate who's a Bolton fan who's going on Saturday who really likes him. So they've got some good players, and it's going to be a really tricky game. I really like Aramoli in midfield for them. He's a very, very good player. So it's going to be a challenge, but I do fancy, as I have to say, I think McKenna, there's a little bit of bluffing from McKenna. I think Luongo and Broadhead will both start, to be fair. If they don't, is there a sneaky chance that Kyle Edwards starts on that left-hand side? Possibly. It would be a bit of a risk. Can't see it necessarily, but if he's not seen, Broadhead isn't seen as being able to go 3 in a row, potentially. I think it will be Hurst up front. As I said, Santos dealt with them very well. They've now played with 3 centre halves, so Hurst's physicality will be a big plus, I think, and it would be really nice. I have to say I've not been overly convinced on Hurst so far. It's just my opinion, but I'd love to see him prove me wrong on Saturday with a goal or two. And I've gone in for exactly the same prediction as Mark. I've gone for 2-1. I think we'll lead. I think they'll peg us back, and then I think our subs will make a real difference in this team, because you look at their bench. I mean, fingers crossed this won't come back to bite me in the bum, but we've got the likes of Ladapo, Kyle Edwards, Marcus Harness. They've got Elias Kachunga, who was a good player a few years ago, but isn't really the player he was. They've had some injury problems up front as well. So I think the bench is going to play a real big part in this game. And who knows, we might even get someone off the bench to score the winner. So I'm going for a 2-1, a really good open game. And fingers crossed, I'm on my way back to North Wales with a smile on my face and 3 points well and truly in the bag.
Indeed. There we go then. Bolton, Ipswich Town, bring it on. I'll be happy with that, very much so. Well, boys, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining me. But as always, any other business, Welsh Mark, always good to have you back on the pod. Any other thing you want to mention? Oh, hello. He's got something on his mind here. Take it off your chest, mate. Come on. We're here. We're here for you. Listeners are here to listen from you. What do you want to say?
Got to say, I've got a lot of love for Kyle Edwards. His reaction after scoring that goal, he must be such good fun to have in the changing room. I mean, I couldn't help but beam from ear to ear when he scored. It was a beautiful free kick, to be fair. I do feel sorry for that young goalkeeper who just come on. I thought that must be terrible for him. He looked about 10 and the ball went flying back. What a lovely figure. But the smile on his face, it's infectious, that enthusiasm, and fair play to him. He's a really, really colourful personality. He's an absolute joy to watch, when he comes on and when he scores, and he's infectious and lovely. But yeah, I've got a lot of love for Kyle. I'd like to see him, produce the kind of form that we know he can produce on a more regular basis. I don't think he's got the consistency, and I still don't think that the final pass is anywhere near as good as Broadhead's, if I'm honest. But there's a talent there, and I'd love to see that smile, every game with a goal like that to finish off. It'd be fantastic. Perhaps he can pop up and do something similar on Saturday. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
It would be indeed. And Harvey, any other business from yourself, my friend?
Just echoing Mark's point. I mean, I can't remember wanting a player to succeed so much than Kyle Edwards. I was smiling so much when that free kick went in. You can just tell what a great person he is around the changing room. I think McKenna's comments were interesting on Edwards as well, where he said, he might not get the starts that he's wanted. And let's be honest, even when he's been fit, I can't really recall his last league start, Kyle Edwards, to be honest with you. But McKenna said, didn't he? He's the best 1v1 attacker we've got on the club, which, it's a brilliant bit of man management, really, because Kyle Edwards must be reading that and thinking, wow, I'm not starting any games, but I'm still seen as the best 1v1, skill set in the club. So he's certainly got something to offer. As I said to Mark, as Mark just said, sorry, he doesn't do it often enough for me, and he's not justified a run in the team or anything like that yet. Anyway, there's still a long time to go, but I really do hope he succeeds. I really do, and it would be great for him to come off the bench and really make an impact on Saturday. So that's all I've got to say, really. Safe travels for those that are going, those conditions out there. Take your time, leave earlier, and all that. So I look forward to seeing however many thousand. Do we know how many we've sold? Looked like a near sellout to me.
It's probably a sellout. Yeah, I know it's the top tier, so you are a bit up there, aren't you? So
yeah,
it's a nice stadium. Bolton's nice
shouting
stadium.
you from the top.
Ross, I won't be able to hear you because you're up there. But I'll look out for you. I'll make sure to look out for you. I'm just trying to find that stat about Kyle Edwards' last start. I'm just quickly looking now.
Must be a while back.
Appearances. I'm just having a look. I'm sure there's people shouting at us now. He's like, it was Thingy Bob. It was against Fleetwood back in December, the 1-1 draw. But he came off in the 68th minute.
Ross, we don't talk about that. We do not talk about that.
No, we don't. No,
we don't. A 10-hour round trip for a double deflection in the 96th minute.
Did you go to that game?
That was the game I went to. Yeah.
No.
Was that the Friday night game?
No. Oh yeah, Friday night. Yeah, Friday night.
Yeah. That was
Friday night. What was that Friday night?
Because World Cup.
Oh yes, World Cup, and the equaliser deflection, which is somewhat my fault, as I mentioned, because they switched ends. I decided to get up and walk over and just get ready for the celebrations. But by the time I sat down, looked up, Fleetwood have equalised. So
I've got to be honest, we were really poor that night. Really poor. I don't think we deserved to win it, to be honest with you. We went ahead really early on, didn't we, with Wolfenden? But I remember saying to my dad at half time, I thought we were lucky to go in 1-0 up, to be honest, at the break. They had a few chances, didn't they? They were in a few times. So
they're not doing too bad actually in the league. I think once again we don't have to play Fleetwood, or they're 14th, but I think they're pretty much safe in terms of
recruited well. Fleetwood have recruited really well this summer. They brought in Scott Brown, which is a bit of a gamble, but they've brought in some good players. Mendes Gomez is a good player. They've brought in
I think Jack Marriott's there now, isn't he?
Sean Rooney, which he's a bit of a character. Jack Marriott, of course, yeah. So they've brought in some good players. They've got three former Ipswich players in defence. They've got Enciala, Josh Earl, and current Ipswich player, in Corey and Darby. So
yeah, of course, he's on loan there. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. But yeah, let's forget about that, and we ain't got to play Fleetwood now.
I'll tell you what, the only good thing about that was when I went to meet the players after, and I bumped into Toto Enciala, and he was just one of the nicest blokes you could ever meet. And he was getting booed when he was on the ball and that kind of thing, but he was saying how much he loved his time at Town and how much he wants the club to succeed and that kind of thing. And he wasn't the most talented of players, but I could sit and chat to him for about an hour. He's honestly one of the nicest, most genuine blokes you'll come across.
Yeah, it's just a sad way it sort of ended with him with his Town career. But I'm sure he'll get forgetting about, we're in the back in the Championship. Oh, that was just a funny little moment, wasn't it? But
he said the same thing. He said, he wished it didn't end like that because he loved his time at the club. But he was never going to fit under a McKenna possession-based defence, was he? To be fair, but he's racking out the games for Fleetwood, so he must be doing all right.
Definitely. Well, boys.
Sorry about that, Ross. My Toto Enciala diversion there. Carry on.
It's fine. It was segued nicely onto Kyle Edwards and then got his first start and all that. So that's perfect. But Mark, Harvey, thanks for joining me. Thanks everyone for listening. Final little point about the women's team. They've got a game this Sunday against London Bees down in Felixstowe at the AJ Arena. So if you can't do the trip to Bolton and they want your football fix, go down to support the women's team. as they could go top of the table if they beat London Bees.
I was just about to ask how I know they're second, aren't they? What's the points situation?
Well, if they win, they go top. But I don't think Oxford have got a game. But Oxford will have games in hand. But top of the table, happy days. And Oxford they could go back top if they win their next game. But they got London Bees. So yeah, get down there if you can. As I said, a sweet shop. Listen to Track the Girls Talk if you haven't already as well. Blue Wilson made her return. We had a great chat about that. And also, I had an interview with Natasha Thomas. Of course, it was International Women's Day on Wednesday. So if you haven't listened to that
was a good listen.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Tass did all the heavy lifting, of course. But yeah, listen to that if you haven't. And of course, listen to the flagship show, Game Day. Andy and Stu are reacting, of course, at Bolton. So if you're going, enjoy. If you're not, follow the game with us as always. And also, we're sponsored by Ginger Pickle and Manscaped. If you haven't already, subscribe, like, follow, all that sort of stuff. Thanks again for listening. Bye-bye for now.